Bail or jail, forgetting fairness continues. Here again is Richard French.
Welcome back. A little fact here for history buffs. Rikers Island, you see it behind me, it was sold to the city of New York back in 1884 for $180,000. It's been the site of a jail, or jails for that matter, ever since. Now, earlier in tonight's special program, you met Stephen Banks of the Legal Aid Society. The society, it helps defendants all across the country. The Bronx Defenders is a much smaller organization, but with a similar mission: provide representation and assistance to those facing a sometimes unforgiving and unfair criminal justice system. The Bronx Defenders are a team of tough defense lawyers and social workers who help the poor underprivileged navigate their way through the courts. Handling nearly 28,000 criminal cases alone just last year, the Defenders, they've joined the battle for change in New York's jail and bail system. At the Defenders' offices, you will often hear the staff using a term adapted by the military and popularized during the Gulf War. The term is collateral damage. That is damage to civilians or non-military targets in a military attack. But when the term is used here, it carries a whole different meaning. But the damages can also be devastating.
The entire way that bail gets set has the impact, this disproportionate impact that we're talking about, where poor people are brought into the criminal justice system because of over-policing, and then the way bail gets set on them in particular means that they're overrepresented in the jails, and these are people who haven't been convicted of anything.
Of course, there would likely be no debate over jail and bail if it weren't for the bail bondsmen. Look no further than almost any courthouse anywhere, and you'll often find their bright neon lights promising freedom from jail for those who can't otherwise afford it. Down this long, dark hallway in a building a stone's throw from the Queens Municipal Courthouse, Tommy Evangelista and his partner, they're busy from dawn to dusk. Evangelista says that by and large the system works as it should, even though he admits the poor can and sometimes do fall through the cracks. Why? Well, he says it's because bail bondsmen make small fees when judges set small bails, and for some of his colleagues in the bail business, it's simply not worth the time, the energy, or let alone the effort to quote-unquote do the deal.
They won't touch bonds under $2,000, $3,000, sometimes $5,000. They won't touch the smaller bails. We do.
Elvis Taylor, he was at the bail bond service the same day that we were. He was there to try and get his son out of jail. The bail, $500. Taylor had the money to have his son released only after a few hours behind bars. A Barbados native, he feels that the American system, including the bail system in New York, works just fine.
For me, I have had dealings with it through my son, and I think that the system worked for me in somewhat, because at least he's not in jail, and the bail that they set I was able to afford, and thank God he's out today.
Now, of course, Mr. Taylor may have felt a little bit differently if he didn't have the bail bondsman's fee and a title to a car that he handed over to secure what could be thought of as a short-term loan to secure his son's release. When we come back, we're going to have some final thoughts on the issue, and they come from none other than New York's Chief Justice, Jonathan Lippman. Plus, we're going to hear from the ACLU, no newcomer to this debate here when it comes to bail or jail. Please stay with us. Our special edition of RFL continues in just a moment.